You don't become the thing that you're against.
We'd be there.
I mean, you don't go to that level.
Well, that's what they want us to do.
I mean, didn't your parents teach you that?
Leave your air of invincibility at the door. It's time for Carl and Mike.
Welcome, Carl and Mike, episode 14.
Holidays.
Holidays are here.
Yep.
You all done all your Christmas shopping?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Nita.
You don't do any of it, do you?
No, I've done some.
Do you? I've done none.
Actually, my sister would say, well, she did it for me.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Got the old sister to help out.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. We put up a tree this year for the first time in 3 years.
Did you really?
Yeah.
A real tree or a fake tree?
No, fake tree.
Yeah.
We had bought it up the day after Christmas from Walmart for like $20.
Yeah.
It has lights already in it.
Yeah.
So,
and so how is it? Is it good? You got a tree?
looks nice, yeah. You know, I should have had the tree the last couple of years.
Is it your job to do the tree?
No, we just look at each other and say, do you want to do the tree? You want to get the tree out? We don't have kids.
Yeah.
But we still have Christmas, but...
Just get a Festivus pole.
What is that?
A Festivus pole?
Yeah.
You know, Festivus, like on Seinfeld, where they had the...
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah, okay.
I looked that up because I was thinking, I need a Festivus pole. It's an aluminum pole.
Yeah.
You know, and it just... and turns out that it was something that actually... You know, I thought it started on Seinfeld. No. It was one of the writers on Seinfeld. It had been a family tradition of his since, like, 1966.
Really?
That had yeah.
Well, so we've got our fake tree with the lights already installed, and we put up little ornaments, and...
Do you put fake packages underneath it?
No, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
The thing is to get packages under it, because what Suzanne wants is this kind of webinar series, you know, so there's no box to put the webinar series on. So I don't know. I'll get a book or we'll get something.
Get something, yeah. You got to get something.
Got to have something. Yeah, you got to have something open on Christmas.
Yeah.
Are you having the whole family together at your mom's house?
Yeah, this is the first year for Simon, so we'll do it over at their house in the morning early because, you know, it's going to be a big deal with Santa Claus.
Yes.
And watching him. You know, that's going to be a big part of Christmas this year, just watching him. That's going to be exciting.
I think Christmas really is for kids.
Oh, it's totally for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely totally for kids. And so everybody's just kind of watching him get excited and kind of amping him up. And then we'll come back over to our house and have breakfast and open up another load of presents.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it'll be an overdose. Yeah. Yes. As usual.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was our Christmas was a big deal growing up in our family.
Yeah.
Of course, when you get married, you know, you have different Christmas traditions.
Yeah.
Did you have that with Anita? Like, Suzanne's family kind of opened like Christmas Eve, and our family was Christmas morning. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, we had that.
Yeah. Ours was the same way. Anita's family was Christmas morning, and ours was Christmas Eve. It started out, well, we don't open all of them. We would open a present on Christmas Eve. It's kind of prime the pump.
Yeah, you get one present on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but the big meal was on Christmas Eve night.
Really?
Yeah, rather than Christmas. Yeah, because, you know, everybody was kind of sick of turkey at that point. You know, last thing we wanted to look at was another roast turkey, or ham wound up being okay. But then we got to the point where instead of doing big meals, we would do just like a pot of soup, which I like.
Really?
But this year we'll, because the kids are coming in town from out of town, and they'll only be there a week, we're going to fix gyoza.
What's gyoza?
Gyoza is, well, a lot of people have, you know, most people call them dumplings, Chinese dumplings. You know, it's gyoza. In
is this
Japanese,
a Texas thing?
It's gyoza. Oh, no, it's Japanese.
Okay.
And
what's inside the dumpling?
A mixture of Napa cabbage, ginger, pork, maybe maybe a little bit of soy, I can't remember, and some marin. I'm not sure exactly what it is, But we started making this when we lived in Los Angeles, and our good friends out there teaching Gloria taught us how to do this, and it was killer. And we try and do it every year. We
Really? So you made a tradition out of it.
Yeah, and what it is, you can steam them and fry them, pan fry them. So we do some of both, and then we also have a Chinese chicken salad that's say it's Chinese chicken salad. It's actually got chicken, it's got crab, it's got shrimp, and it's got this just kick-ass dressing, homemade dressing, and that's what we eat. That and rice and
every Christmas Eve.
Sometimes some edamames. No, we're going to do it at Christmas Eve this year. Typically, we do that on New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day. But they're not going to be. The kids are not going to be here then, so we're going to move it up. But yeah, it's something Tichi got us hooked on. His dad got the recipe. His dad was in the Japanese military during World War II, and he picked up the recipe over in China, brought it back, and they started. I think that was the way it goes, and so we started making it.
We do have a strange. This is a family tradition. Christmas Eve at midnight, we're supposed to eat pork pie.
Oh, pork pie!
Have you had pork pie before?
No.
Pork pie is it sounds weird. And
I think a pork pie is a hat, but go ahead.
No, pork pie is pork, ground pork.
Yeah.
Cinnamon.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
In this kind of pie.
Yeah.
Confection thing.
No, that didn't sound bad at all. We made a lamb stew that had cinnamon in it with sweet potatoes this last week.
Sometimes, like Suzanne, not Suzanne, my sister's husband Rick, bringing a family member into it. Mm-hmm. They're like, pork pie. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. There was
pork pie and eggnog. And then we would get to open up one present as a kid, but it was always something like socks.
Have you ever heard of jip mush?
Jip mush?
Yeah.
No.
It's some sort of Polish thing that's like some sort of meat and oatmeal mash that
no.
Polish. It just sounds god awful. That was a tradition of a family that's no longer part of our family.
No, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, different traditions, I think. I kind of like that. I like the differences. And every family seems to, pull together something on their own. It's kind of, and when you get married to somebody else, you start to develop your own. And they're kind of hybrid versions of what you grew up with and she grew up with. And
right.
Then something else weird comes in, like gyoza out of nowhere. And so it just keeps moving.
So what else going on these days here?
Well, I had an interesting experience. Nita and I went over to some friend's house for dinner the other night. It was weekend before last. And kind of a group of friends that we get together a few times a year and have for years and years. And all the guys sat out on the back porch. Nita was with us, but all the guys sat on the back porch. Women sat inside and talked, which is kind of good because it used to be nothing but women and me.
Ah.
Yeah, so now there's other guys, which is excellent. Not that there's anything wrong with all the women in the group, but it's nice to have some men. And we sat around and talk politics.
Ah.
Yeah. Which is...
was this a mixed political crowd?
Oh, yeah. Well, mixed only in that I was different than everybody else, I would say. And...
but it was civil?
Oh, it was more than civil.
Really?
And, yeah, it gave me absolute total hope for all the bullshit that goes on. And even though a lot of us disagree on a number of things, there tended to be a lot of give and take at this meeting that I thought was good. Everybody was listening to each other.
Uh-huh.
And...
Did you gain insight from your Republican brethren?
Yeah, I think I don't know if I did or not, but I enjoyed listening to them. I think there's a lot of things that we share, and And I think one of them is just a total disdain for government in general right now and where it is.
Where it is really dysfunctional.
I mean, it's just
fucked up.
completely fucked up.
Yeah.
And but the thing that I find interesting that I'm still trying to understand is there's a need on some people's part to immediately identify themselves as, well, I'm a conservative.
Right.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't hear a lot of liberals go, well, I'm a liberal.
Right.
Or I'm a progressive. There's something about needing to stake out territory there. And I said, well, and my question was, well, explain to me what that means. Okay, what exactly is that? And I think everybody has their own difference. I said, because I told them, I said, my mom's 85. She says she's a conservative. But yet, she's all in favor of abortion and gay rights and women's rights and all this other kind of stuff. And she wants gun control. And so, but she says she's a conservative. So it's kind of like, well, if she says she's a conservative and she feels like she's a conservative, what's the difference between what their stakeout is, And also the religious thing with mom is like, don't tell me you got all the answers.
Your mom's really not a conservative. Well, she's
buddy,
socially.
according to her, she is very much so one. And
she'll vote for
one of
conservatives.
These afraid conservatives that, the country's going down a dark hole and we're never going to get out and it's too late and King Obama and all that. I'm seriously. I mean,
right.
That's,
So she agrees
verbatim.
a lot with the policies that he has. But because he's on the other side.
I think that's part of it. And it's like, I'm wondering if people have gotten to the point where they've drawn lines, political lines, where they say it's kind of like my country right or wrong, my party right or wrong. I'm going to vote for this person.
We've gone tribal.
I'm going to vote for these people only because those people over there never have any good ideas. Everything they say is wrong.
Right.
The way they live is wrong. They're immoral. Whatever it is. I mean, there has to be kind of a break. There has to be a firewall in there that'd say, I can't go over that, and I don't understand what the reason is. But I didn't get that sense with the guys when we were sitting around talking. I mean, there's very difference. I mean, some of them were saying that they really felt like, that the country was going to split up, that different countries, different states and areas were going to secede and go out on their own. And I don't know where that. I understand when you hear somebody like Rick Perry or some other people mouth off about that kind of shit, that you think that seems like a good idea to some people and think, but it's like I said, I was telling them and
so what?
And
so North Carolina's going to have its own military and border crossings you're going to have to go through and all that kind of shit.
I guess. I don't know.
That's something to look forward to?
Yeah. And
well, let's have the South break off because they're the biggest states on the government tit.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just the South. I mean, there's that section up there in the northeast corner of Colorado that wants to secede.
Yeah, I know California wants to split into six.
Wants to split up,
California wants to split up into 6 states. They don't want to split up into 6 countries.
Yeah, and the people that want to split them up are the ones typically in the real conservative areas. They're the ones because they want to.
Because they're tired of getting outvoted in California politics. By 1,000,000 to 1.
And so they want to isolate themselves so they can vote the way they want and have their own Louis Gohmert as their representative. But if they want to separate on their own, that's fine. Let them. Honestly. And it's like I mentioned with this group, I said, I know a lot of guys that they were bitching about taxes. And I said, I know a lot of guys that don't want to pay taxes. And I said, my theory is I want to give everybody that one chance to opt out. You get one shot at opting out. And you can opt out at paying taxes for the rest of your life. Can't get back in.
Right.
But you can opt out.
And what's the consequences of you opting out?
Don't call an ambulance service if you're having a heart attack. If your house is burning down, don't call the fire department because they ain't coming.
What do
when
they say to that?
When you need water service, it's going to cost you a lot more than it is right now, or you can drill your own well.
You basically pay a lot higher.
Right.
when you need it.
Any kind of services that you got is going to cost you
No
more.
Social Security for you.
No Social Security, so you be real good about saving your own money. All the money you save on taxes, you need to put away, and Social Security you put away, and you be the one that invests it and take care of it, because when you turn 65, 70, whenever you want to start tapping it, it's up to you to take care of that.
And a soldier loses his wings, I think should happen too.
Yeah. And so, there's all other kinds of consequences.
So what did you bring that up
so,
to the group?
Yeah. Well,
what did they say to
Well,
that?
they start waffling at that point, start backing up a little bit, as anybody would. I mean, that's an extreme position, what I'm saying.
Right.
You know.
But you're trying to make a point.
I'm trying to make a point, is all I'm trying to make, is that the government does do it. Well, I want to pay for certain things, but I don't want to pay for other things. Well,
I don't want to pay for teachers. I don't have kids.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So then the question is, okay, that's fine. If you and again, let's take another extreme condition on that. Let's say, okay, that what I'm saying is too extreme. You can't opt in or opt out. But let's say you can decide how you want to spend your taxes and how you don't want to spend your taxes. And so, certain people people that don't have kids can opt out of paying any kind of school taxes or any kind of stuff like that. And if you really don't like the military, you can deduct that.
All right.
You don't have to do that at all. And so I think at that point then everybody's going to start to back up a little bit more, It's
All right,
backing up a little bit more.
All of a sudden that military ain't going to be as big.
Yeah, and then somebody mentioned something about one of these just weird-ass government-funded things about frog sex or whatever.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck it is. And anybody that digs deep enough can find some of that stuff. And we're talking,
poor use of funds.
And poor use of funds. And we're talking about yes, it's a poor use of funds, but there was an elected congressman from that area that decided to use poor use of funds. That's the person that you need to identify and get rid of and draw them down. But the other part of it is it's such an infinitesimal fraction.
Yes.
Of 1/10%.
Yeah.
In the overall scheme of things, that
one
it's
aircraft
ridiculous
carrier can take care of all the poor decisions.
Yeah, it's to get all worked up about shit like that. But those are the kind of talking points that people get wrapped
Conservatives
up.
use.
Yeah.
To talk about the craziness of government.
Yes, which is it's easy to find stuff.
And I think there's an element of selfishness there. I mean, so I'm not using something, therefore I don't want to pay taxes to it. You're exactly right. I don't have kids, so then I should say I don't have to pay school taxes. I could get all riled up on that, but you know what? At the end of the day, it all evens out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't use the school thing, but maybe I use something else.
Yeah, and somebody
more.
could say, nobody's fixing the potholes in front of my street, so I don't want to pay any more taxes that have to do with street repairs or anything like that. And I say, okay, fine.
I'll tell you, when it comes to taxes and potholes right now, we have a real opportunity here. And I know some conservatives will scream at this, but right now would be the time to put a gas tax in place for some infrastructure, because gas prices are going down, and take advantage of that. It doesn't look like they're going to go up for any time, even if you did just a 25-cent tax. But all that money is earmarked towards bridges and roads. Let's take advantage of this opportunity. I know there's benefits to having lower gas prices. But we'll still have lower gas prices, but we take some of this money and put it towards what we really need, because our infrastructure right now is just getting towards second world.
And why people don't want to fund infrastructure is beyond me, because they drive on it every day.
Yeah.
Every time they flush their toilet, they're
Well, if you're going to use that mentality, chances of you driving on the bridge when it collapses is pretty low. So why fix the bridge?
Yeah, why spend money on it?
Chances are I won't be on the bridge when it collapses.
They don't want to fix the sewer until the sewer backs up.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand, but at that point it becomes pretty costly.
Yeah.
So.
No, there's definitely that mentality there. But I know. Look at all the numbers our government.
So no, I guess what I'm saying is I felt like in sitting around talking to these guys that even though we disagree on a number of things, there seems to be a lot of agreement. But I think what it is everybody's listening to the media. They listen to their media. I listen to my media. Turns out that I'm the only one that's listening to something other than Fox.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Because they are surprised by things you say.
Well, somebody said something about the new one American something AON network. Have you seen that?
No. What kind of network is this?
Well, it's a conservative network. I think it's funded by Fox, but it's younger people. It's geared more towards the newscasters are younger. It's got a younger feel.
Is this a show on Fox?
No, it's one of the channels. You can see it.
It's a network.
I think it's AON or something like that. Just look for it. You can see it. You can find it on your directory. And because I looked at it one time, and I go, "What is that?" Because it's down there next to Japan.
They're trying to be hip or something?
Yeah, I think it's more of a hip way of being...
conservative?
Yeah.
How do you be a hip conservative?
But for the most part, I think people are getting their news in a very narrow cast. It's because it's like I told them, I said, because I mentioned the networks that I listen to and watch, and I said, and I'll show you one that I listen to that y'all would just cringe on, and that's Al Jazeera America.
Yeah. I haven't really watched that show. Would you say it's more liberal than MSNBC, or where would it fall politically? Or does it try to be more BBC?
I think it tries to be more BBC, which, most people are going to say, well, it's liberal,
Yeah. Well, anything Europe is liberal, right?
Yeah. So I really feel like there's hope, but I think everybody's going to have to pull back.
Well, I think people don't
from the crap.
The other downside of tribalism is and I'm seeing this. I definitely see this in the Senate and definitely in the House, and you could argue that George Bush did it in the presidency, is where they pretty much governed to the half of the country that voted for them.
Yeah.
So in other words, even a politician wins 51-49, he's going 100% Republican in his voting.
Yeah.
Right? And so you get a president, you don't really get represented. When you've got this tribal thing, then you're losing. If you lose, you don't get. It's not like the politician goes, well, I'm going to try to vote for both sides and vote for my whole constituency. No, I'm going to vote for the people who voted for me, what they want, which is diametrically opposed to what the other 49% want. And that doesn't really serve anybody either.
I would go even further with Bush. I think what he did is he didn't govern for the 49%, the minority that voted him in. He didn't govern for them. He governed for the neocons.
Yeah.
Which is a fraction. It's the 1%.
Which brings me to the subject that I really just opens up old wounds for me, which is this torture thing that came out. The two horrible things, and George W. did a lot of really stupid, bad things, but the really horrible things he did was the going into Iraq, when we had the country behind him to go after these guys in Afghanistan and take them out, and diverting us to Iraq, where so many people died on both sides unnecessarily. And then, but the even worse than that is the torture, because it really, A, it's against what we're all about, our ideals, but B, that's what stood us apart from the rest of the world. That meant something. The fact that we, had a certain standard that we, I'm not saying we always met it, but we attempted to meet, and now, we're just as bad or worse than other countries, and that took away so much of, for me, what was great about being an American.
Yeah.
And that just really pisses me off still.
Yes. And I totally agree. You know, I mean, it did mean something. It was a way for us to kind of, we'd staken out a moral ground, high ground. And we gave that away. We gave it away
for
cheap.
nothing.
We gave it away. Now you're saying nothing, and people are going to go, well, 3,000 lives. You know, that's going to be Dick Cheney.
I'm saying for the information.
Yeah.
Hey, believe me, I get the wanting to beat the shit out of the guy that did 9/11, masterminded the 9/11.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get that.
Yeah.
I hate the son of a bitch too.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a moral ground.
Yeah.
That was America.
Yeah.
And we stood for something bigger than that.
Key word there was.
Yeah.
How do you get that back?
You don't.
You don't. No.
No, because they're going to throw that shit in our face forever.
People are going to be there to remind you.
And the Fox News thing of why are you releasing this report? Why, you know, it's like it's not the report, it's the actions in the report. In a sense, there's a tactical admission.
And
you know, there.
And I tell you who I feel is standing there by himself, and I have more admiration for him now than I have John McCain.
Yeah.
He knows what torture is.
He absolutely knows what torture is.
He knows it when he feels it. He felt it. Dick Cheney didn't.
Right.
Dick Cheney is a worthless piece of shit, and he's raging against it.
And I'm tired of the kid gloves that he's getting on the media. Jesus Christ, someone needs to call him out what he is. Fucking war criminal.
Yeah, well, he's trying to protect. It's like they were saying that I read this morning. He's trying to protect his legacy. His legacy is done. It's done.
Yeah.
And everybody, I think, pretty much knows what he is, who he is, what he is. And they may not call him out, and they may do that because they feel like they've got to respect him because he was vice president. Okay, fine. I get that. He's not a leader of their party.
But Geneva Conventions don't mean anything if you don't go to, you break that convention, mm-hmm. You don't get tried the same way as, you know, right now it's just like if you lose a war, then you get tried. Mm-hmm. Right? That isn't the way that works.
Well, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff is getting
and you get into
is getting tested. Geneva Convention on that, Geneva Convention on chemical weapons, NATO, you know, with Putin doing what he's doing, all these kind of agreements that, hey, you know, somebody, you know, comes after you, we're going to get you, or if you do, we're not going to be.
You're saying those agreements are conditional at best.
I'm saying they're smoke.
They're not even really agreements.
No.
If Putin decided to attack Italy, though, I mean, we would do something. We would go to war, you don't think?
Nah.
Sorry, Italy, you shouldn't have pissed them off.
I don't know. Well, that's a real good question. Would we decide to do it?
Well, Italy's probably a bad excuse. They probably would on Italy, but let's take one of
those.
Would
Greece decide to send
countries?
Some people? Would
Yeah.
France decide to send some people? Switzerland? I mean, who? I mean, all these people. Are they going to? I mean, they're the ones that are over there.
Right.
Well, anyway, getting back to the moral thing, I think, yeah, it's.
There's just some real sadistic shit in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the other part that is really highlighted for me, and what would you call it when you say instead of torture, you call it enhanced interrogation techniques?
Yeah, that term will go down in mockery.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Yeah.
Think about enhanced interrogation. That's so George Orwellian bullshit. Mm-hmm. If it's enhanced, if it's interrogation, and the interrogation is enhanced, that's torture.
But whenever I see anything like that or hear anything like that, I think of a room full of guys, probably.
Yeah.
Old white guys.
Yeah.
Sitting around going, well, we can't call it torture. What are we going to call it? And
there's a meeting on that. Got the copywriters involved.
Yeah, the copywriters are involved. Well, it's wordsmithing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wordsmithing of the first order. So let's say, you know, because when people think of torture, they think of pulling out fingernails and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going, and in fact, I think Dick Cheney said something about pulling out. Somebody said this weekend about pulling out fingernails, and I'm going, you know, I think I'd rather have my fingernails pulled out than waterboarded.
Or
And
rectal
some of the
feeding.
Or rectal feeding.
How
Yeah.
does that work exactly?
See, they let that one slip through. They didn't come up.
They didn't-
come up with a
didn't.
euphemism for that, did they?
They should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rectal feeding is
Like,
kind of like anal leakage. You
Yeah.
don't want it.
Yeah, it's going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should have called it something like, I don't know, interhighway, just rectal
Yeah.
fees. I don't know how that one got past the censors.
Yeah, they didn't have a meeting for that one.
They didn't have the meeting,
They
did they, on
didn't
that
have a
one?
meeting for that one. If you're gonna pretty up one word, you need to pretty them all of them, because if one slips through like that, you're kind of going, ooh. And rectal feeding is one of those. Ooh.
Ooh. I want to talk about Obama on this, though. I think one of the worst things he said in his 8 years of the presidency is we tortured some folks. I mean, first off, that's callow. That's the casualness of that.
Yeah.
We tortured some folks. It really bugs me.
Yeah.
That thing. And, Brennan, head of CIA, was right there in the middle of it. Why is he head of CIA today?
That's a good question.
It's like, what does the CIA have this magical, mystical powers? I mean, they're close to being as a rogue element as you can be. If not, they may argue that they are, because
Oh, yeah.
Brennan's still head of the CIA.
Yeah.
Nothing really has been done. I mean, I get the first black president coming in on a global financial crisis. Probably ain't going to want to tackle that one right at that moment. Also wanting to put through some signature stuff, healthcare, but it's gone long. That's 6 years
it's
ago.
under the radar. We'll just let it fly under the radar. All
I
this
can't
was
really
under
deal that shit.
How much of this was under the radar before Snowden came out with the NSA thing? If he hadn't come out with the NSA thing, you think people would have started looking more and more at the spy and secret services and stuff like that?
He definitely helped put the focus on that. But that just showed us that we were, that's, it's not as bad as
Like
CIA
everybody
stuff,
else?
like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on and call it for what it is.
Yeah.
This is like everybody else.
And basically that given the power or the opportunity or the technology or the opportunity, really, it looks like we pretty much do what anybody else would do in terms of a lower element of life. We'll spy. We'll get as much data as we can. If we can get away with the torturing, we'll torture.
Yeah. And
I'm really breaks my fucking heart.
Yeah. Well, and you hear that kind of stuff going on, and then they pass this spending bill. And then, I tell you what, fuck Hillary.
What do you mean?
Elizabeth Warren all the way. Did you read that? Did you hear her speech?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that is leadership. That's somebody standing up, calling them out by name.
Well, you ain't heard Hillary on anything. You didn't hear Hillary on
No.
this torture report?
No.
You didn't hear Hillary on
And you're not
anything.
gonna. You're not gonna. She's just sticking close. And
That worked real well for her in 2008. There's no leadership there.
But,
Well, yeah, you mean this little Dodd-Frank thing that we decided to...
so now we're gonna
But that's the thing the
we're
Republicans
gonna
want.
cut back on regulations for derivatives for banks.
Because that
Are
worked
you
out so well.
Fucking kidding me! You got to be kidding me!
Not happy about that, are you?
No, there's absolutely no.
What could go wrong, Michael?
Everything. Again, I'm going to get my wish because the people, they're not even asleep at the wheel. This is not. You can't even excuse the people up there for being asleep at the wheel. This is knowing what's going on and letting this shit go through.
Well, as Obama said...
I dare say that the derivative thing is one of the few issues where you get somebody like Elizabeth Warren and Ted Cruz to come in agreement. Well,
is he against it?
I can't imagine that he'd be for it. I don't know. I haven't heard.
Yeah, Ted Cruz is...
Well, he's a sick puppy, but,
Mr. Lone Wolf out there.
Yeah. But, I don't know.
I can't believe that was a linchpin for the Republicans to get passed.
Mm-hmm.
So, where's the Tea Party outrage on that?
I haven't heard the Tea Party doing shit lately.
Yeah. because there wasn't a Tea Party. That was Dick Armey and his thing, putting that together, giving some money to the standalone crowd, the 25% that were behind Bush anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
don't get Obama on the... I'm going to go back to this Obama on the torture thing. We tortured some folks as the understatement of the year.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, that's a real good question. What do you do? Do you come in and you clean out the CIA of all the people who are
Seems like the
involved in
CIA
that?
can do whatever the fuck they want.
And what about those two outside contractors that got paid $81 million to come up with the enhanced interrogation techniques? I mean, come on.
And right now they were covered by Alberto Gonzalez's Attorney General days and John Woo, so there's legal cover now really on all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're legally immune to what, 2020, something like that? I mean, it's something ridiculous. And you're going, now, do you think that if you decided to put that into their contract, that they were immune from any kind of legal liability, that there might have been a concern that maybe some of the stuff they were doing was incorrect?
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
You don't put that cover in.
No,
unless
you don't put that kind of shit in unless you're
Everybody
trying to cover
knows.
your ass.
Everybody knows that there was violations of the Geneva.
Yeah, and
the thing that's perturbing, is that the right word, is they knew what they wanted to do was against the Geneva Conventions, and that didn't stop them. They just figured out a way around it.
Well, they talked themselves into a legal justification for what it was they're doing. I think, it's it's mental masturbation of the first order.
And let's not kid ourselves on anyone, on any human being on the planet. They knew it was wrong. You don't burn all the videotapes. If you feel like you haven't done everything wrong, you're all legally okay, everything done, then why would you burn the videotapes?
Yeah.
Why would you get all this legal protection if it's all if you're all on the right side of life? Yeah,
what is the deal with
because you're going to show it to somebody else that wasn't there.
To train them. Maybe that's part of the
training
process.
To let the upper echelons know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing that you told us we could do, so you need to keep it quiet because this is what's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really dark chapter, and you don't get it back because they can put that shit in our face for the next 50 years. Yeah. So it's going to take you 50 years.
Well, Dick Cheney said something about, well, what do you think? Somebody said about the torture. He said, well, you said torture to me is what they did to those 3,000 people in the towers.
Well, that's murder.
Murder. Yeah. There's a difference between torture and murder. People who are being tortured want you to murder them because it's worse than what they're,
Yeah.
Those people up there, for the most part, died pretty quickly.
And you don't become the thing that you're against.
We'd be there.
I mean, you don't go to that level.
Well, that's what they want us to do.
I mean, didn't your parents teach you that?
That's I think a big part of what I would think if I was in ISIS' shoes.
You don't lose your
humanity. We got
humanity.
to draw them in. We've got to do things. We've got to be so horrible that they become. Or maybe ISIS is just so horrible that they're not even thinking about that. We're just going to cut off some heads and shit. I don't know.
First off, when you have religious zealotism, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to convince anybody. You're not going to scare them away. I mean, you're not going to get actionable intelligence. So what the hell was it? Everybody knew going in. They've done studies on this before because there's been torture in the world before. Everybody knows that you don't get actionable intelligence from torture. Yeah. You do on 24. Okay, with Jack Bauer, but that's a TV show.
They should have hired Jack.
They should have hired Jack.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he was there. Maybe that was what's on the video.
Yeah.
But you don't, it's like they knew going in. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't get. And Dick Cheney definitely is a man. Again, these are people that know better.
Is W is staying real quiet on this.
If you had W's record, wouldn't you stay quiet?
I would
Maybe
stay
painting
quiet
cats too.
Said, yeah,
really.
He just doesn't have the. But I think there may be something in him. that realizes.
Have more. Yeah, there's more possibility. I think Dick Cheney decided to go to the dark side a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything that he does is right. And that's the thing that I found.
That's
finally
what I don't
realized about the way he talks.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, of course I would.
Yeah.
I'd do it again in a second.
In a second.
And it's kind of like that self-assured air is I'm trying to think of what the word is. If you're around somebody that speaks with that kind of self-assured air, it almost makes you feel insecure about not believing
because
what they do.
It's called the disease of certainty. He has certainty, okay? Well, it's not. I mean, and certainty is a horrible thing because certainty doesn't allow for any growth, and nature by itself does not operate on the law of certainty.
No.
Nature is a constant changing thing.
Yes.
You could time lapse that mountain over there over however many years you need to. You would see changes in that mountain.
Disease of certainty?
Yes.
Did you just come up with that?
That's a thought leadership phrase.
That is thought
Michael.
leadership.
No, he
but
has
that's
that.
real good.
It's the disease of certainty, and is not ISIS or ISIS or whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Yeah.
Don't they suffer from the disease of certainty?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, this
any kind of religious zealot
yeah
suffer from that.
Well, I don't care what religion you are.
Yeah,
the disease of certainty, and it's not. You have to have the possibility because
of being wrong.
Of being wrong, of other potential points of view. I mean, that's how you get better at anything in life. I mean, if you hit certainty, you die. That's the end of growth. Okay? In Cheney's case, he can't have anything but certainty because if he opened that door...
He didn't want to open that door.
He don't want to open that door. All right. And,
because it'll flood out.
And beware of anyone that's certain. And on that, I am almost certain.
No, I think that's good. And in fact, that's one of the things that I always told the kids when we were raising them. I said, anytime you encounter somebody that tells you they've got all the answers to something,
run.
Smile. Tell them thank you. Back out of there as fast as you can.
Right.
I don't care what it is.
Right.
At work, at church, government.
And you know, it's interesting because certainty often comes around with religion. That's faith, right? Mm-hmm. I have faith in something. I understand the power of faith. I understand the power of faith for manifesting things you want to have happen in your life. You got to have faith. You got to see what's not there yet. But faith, when it comes to religion, it ends in certainty, which ends in the death of the growth of an individual, of a mind.
Well, when you have faith in another individual for doing the right thing, where
Right.
a lot of people give over their responsibility,
Right.
Okay, hand that over, because they don't want to have to think about it. So they hand over their responsibility, and they have faith that that individual
Right.
is going to do the right thing, and they had faith in the government was going to do the right thing. And now what you're finding out is the government didn't do the right thing.
Right. Right.
And now and then the government says, well, we were acting on your behalf
Right.
to keep you safe.
Right.
That's a way of shifting that partial blame and the responsibility back where you already gave it over. And that, you know, that's the idea of maintaining personal responsibility in any and all things, I think, is really important.
And what's, I think, worse right now, and I think we're facing this, I think the world is changing so fast, technology-wise, the abilities to do things, the global connection, you know, it's all changing so fast, so the need for certainty is greater, okay? Like, to hold on to something because of the change. But, man, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and people that become certain, you know, they look at everyone else as weak. In actuality,
people
it takes
can view those people that have that disease of certainty as a leader.
Yeah.
Only because they have a conviction.
Yeah.
Just because somebody has a conviction about something does not mean it's correct or right or moral, for that
Right.
matter. It's just that they have that conviction.
And I get it's very comfortable to be certain. It really is.
Ted Cruz, Disease of Certainty.
I mean, seriously, it really is comfortable, but it's a lot harder to not be. You have to constantly open yourself up to new possibilities, you know, and...
Disease of Certainty. God damn, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely...
No, I think it is.
It really is. And Cheney is a great example of you want to see that in the face of doing some atrocious things. So you could it's almost interesting to watch it, just to see someone and trying to act so certain. And he's really at the point now, he's gone so deep into certainty that if he opened up the door, it would destroy.
Nazi Germany have the disease of certainty?
Absolutely.
Not
absolutely.
only about their
the Jews were animals. If you're certain, right? Look at, I mean, look at history. Okay. Certainty. I mean, you're certain that blacks were second-class citizens, not even citizens, you know, for a long time. I mean, it's a paradox because certainty is comforting and stops everything and is understandable, and you can build something around that, but it's against nature. Nature is not certain. Well, yes, it's certain. The sun will come up every day, they would say. That's pretty certain. I can say, well, you know, no, the sun could blow up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's very disturbing.
Or it could be cloudy tomorrow and the sun comes up, but it's not like the sunrise.
Right.
You know, there's all kinds. And
everything has different time frames.
The idea of diseases of certainty, to me, is kind of a black and white thing. But to me, another area is the grayness that precedes it, that could be around it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Could
be real dangerous too.
Right. And God, I see so much of that now in our politics, and it's pretty predictable. I can pretty much predict what someone's going to. I can pretty much predict what Fox News is going to take on any situation that comes up. You know, because there's this disease of certainty in there. There's a mindset that's, you know, so anything that comes up, whether it's Michael Brown or torture, you pretty much know where they're going to land on that. Because they have to, because they're, and like Cheney, have created this narrative. And the certainty is in the narrative.
Well, they've staked out some turf.
Yes.
And they're trying to defend their turf.
So they have to defend it no matter what.
They have to defend their turf, no matter what it is. If you get to the point where you have that, or you're afflicted with a disease of certainty, you've staked out some turf. And whenever anything is coming at that turf from any angle, you got to defend that turf.
Yeah, you do. And it paints you in a smaller and smaller corner.
Yes, it does.
Because there's no opportunity for growth there.
No.
Because you're certain.
No.
So,
interesting.
Nothing, no facts, figures, reality. And that's what happens with this Bible thing. You know, you get this interpretation of the Bible, and how could you not be certain about that? It's the Word of God, for God's sakes. Right?
And there it is, right there.
There, Leviticus, whatever.
It's in that book.
Yeah. So there's a book of certainty. Right? And we've been killing each other over that certainty till today.
Well, that's one book of certainty. The other book of certainty would be the Quran, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's all sorts of books of certainty. The fact is, none of them are certain. You know, and it's real easy to mix certainty with God, because God has to be infallible, and if He wrote the book, then the book is infallible, therefore certainty. Doesn't matter that my interpretation of the, you know, I can show you tons of examples. You know, yeah, you did stone women for certain things back in the day. You don't do that anymore. Gee, how did that happen? That's called. Where's the certainty in that?
Yeah. Huh.
It's all a mess. We really have to, and it's a lot easier to want it when things, especially now, when things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the landscape changes all the time.
Well, you know, now think about that. If everybody is kind of staked out their own little territory, but they haven't really had to defend it.
Yeah.
And whether that's, you know, your plot of land in East Texas, or your lake house Upper Peninsula, or whatever, and your way of life, and now all of a sudden you're confronted with different ways of life, okay, because of what you see through the media, okay. All of a sudden you've got shows about gay couples, or you've got shows about people from overseas, or you got shows about, or all of a sudden you're seeing people come into your community that you haven't seen in the past. And a lot of this has to do with just these changes in the world you're talking about and what we're seeing. And all of a sudden you feel like you need to defend your area.
Right. Like it used to be.
Yeah, the area you've staked out, the way you grew up. You've got to defend your church, what your dad taught you, your piece of property. And so you do that in ways that get more and more narrow, to the point where what you feel like you need to do is get a gun.
Right. I do think that as people get older, and it's going to be interesting because the baby boomers are turning, right? They're retiring. We're going there. And I do think that's almost a cliche, the old person, right, railing against the world that, was much better back in the day. Memories create certainty in a sense, because that's how does this society, as it gets older, which tends to be the least open to change, how does that society get older, and as technology gets more rapid, how does that work? Because you got almost two things diametrically opposed to each other. Technology is making things happen faster.
Yeah.
Change faster.
Yeah.
And then older people are more resistant to change.
But they're changing too, just physically and mentally. They're changing, and that's going at a normal speed.
Yes.
But then that's getting pushed because of technology.
Right. I mean, you already see it. Look at in the voting patterns between the under 30 and above 60. I mean, so how does? Yet we've got this big baby boomer thing that's moving into 60 plus. It's an interesting time that we live in, with this paradox in a sense almost. And how does that all work?
Well, and I'm wondering if the baby boomers are going to go, now wait a minute, what's all this conservative shit coming back at us? We railed against that 50 years ago. We put that to bed. What's all this shit coming back now? That ain't going to happen.
I would like to see that, but I have a lot of friends, that went conservative on you. You go, where were you? Are you the same guy I was with in college?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're like, now I don't know who you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think there's definitely some of that, but I think the other part of it is the fostering and promoting fear of the other, and fear of change, and fear of losing what you have, fear of losing your little stake in what it is, by saying these people are coming to get it.
Right.
You're gonna,
these poor black people are coming for your money.
Yeah, this government is taking your money, going to give them over here. These people are coming over the border, they're going to get your thing.
Yeah.
These criminals who've got guns are going to come and get your stuff.
You're going to take your guns.
It's always come and get your stuff. Or hurt you. You're going to get your stuff. What is the stuff?
Yeah.
What is the stuff that's so worth killing somebody else about? What is that? What is that? And it's an unfounded fear. Yet when you see shit going on in the media, and I think a lot of this is there more of it going on than there used to be? Yeah, probably. But there's also a lot more people. Okay, but what does exist now that didn't exist is the exposure to it. We are all exposed to it more.
Well, and we're being manipulated more.
Yes.
By that media.
Yeah.
I mean, Fox News is not taking a look back on not a point of view. They have a point of view going in. That's different. Now they would argue, but I'm sorry, but Walter Cronkite,
No. Those guys didn't have that. That was
they did not have. They weren't playing Fox News or MSNBC back when there were 3 stations. And I would argue the Fox News really isn't conservative. Fox News is this big fat guy that's got, if you look into his life, really messed up individual, calling the shots there.
Yeah.
Really dysfunctional person.
Yeah.
Calling the shots at Fox News. That'll be an interesting era when he passes on.
Yeah.
See where that shows up. Because there could be a conservative station that had stick to true conservative principles and...
Well, that's why I ask people, what does it mean when you say conservative? Explain that to me. Explain, and I'm going to start doing that to anybody that feels like they need to tell me they're conservative, or if somebody needs to tell me that they're
conservative,
that they're liberal or progressive. And I've never had anybody tell me that they're liberal or progressive. But there's something about being conservative that they feel like they need to go, well, I'm conservative. And it's kind of like they're the ones with the little flag pins. You know, that's look, I'm conservative. I'm showing you I got the little thing right here. Or
my take on conservative is, so definitely means smaller government, smaller federal government, not necessarily smaller state, though.
I had that conversation too. You know,
it means conservative means slowing down the pace of change in a sense, not being so quick to advance. You know, I think it's, you know, I would argue it tends to go down the path towards the path of certainty, or wanting to slow everything down
until we're certain that we want to move in this direction.
Right. So I think there's that. You know, I think that they would think. There's a conservative that they think there's kind of a 1950s snapshot there. And that they're the defenders of that way of living with two kids and a house. You know, everybody has a house and everybody's middle class. And there's that. But that isn't really a conservative thing. Everybody wants
you know, the
good life.
One thing in agreement that, if I remember correctly, that I had with the guys on the back porch, is that, and I do believe this. I don't think it's a conservative versus a liberal thing. I think that's the powers that be dividing to create conflict. So we're more interested in what each other's doing and what each other's thinking and what each other's trying to get.
Right.
So we don't go after them.
So what do you think it is instead?
I think it's corporate America. I think it's just straight up corporate America has got the power, and they're using government to get what they want, whether it's lower taxes, deregulation, what it is. I think, you know, if they can keep us divided between rich and poor, middle class and poor. Okay, let's not even say rich and poor. Let's say middle class and poor. Because the middle class people are the ones that are really worried about losing stuff. Rich, I mean, if you know, the 1%, they got so much fucking money, they're not worried about losing. They want to keep more. But the middle class are more worried about slipping into being poor.
Right. Well, what corporate wants to do is, what a corporation wants to do is they want to make as much profit as possible.
Yeah, period. And they don't want anybody telling them how to do it.
Right. And they want to squeeze the system, you know. If the federal government or the government is blocking their ability to be as, they're going to lobby that.
A good example of that attitude is Dick Cheney and torture. He's a corporate guy. He saw a problem. He was going to solve it. It didn't matter what it took to get it done. He was going to get it done, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the way corporations are. I think that's literally the way they are.
I don't think anything really changes until the liberals and the conservatives get together, and that's a point of agreement, really. Could be against big corporate.
Yeah, and so what you do is you wash off. You wash off the liberal, you wash off the conservative, and you go, it's us, and that's them. That's the problem.
But corporations are made of people.
I don't want to hear that bullshit.
I mean, there's a bunch of people that run the corporate.
That's absolutely right. But they run the corporation for the stockholders, the investors, the people that want more money. I mean, the people invest money in corporations to make money.
Right. The argument is those are shareholders are people too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like a beast that can never be. The problem with corporations is ultimately they'll eat their young. It's like a Terminator machine.
And they do all the time.
Right? They'll eat the planet. They'll eat. They don't live in a world of anything but themselves.
If you're not feeding the beast what the beast wants to eat, it'll do away with you. Right. If the corporate leaders are not towing the rope and giving the beast, and the beast in that terms are the investors or Wall Street or the people that want to make the money. That's the beast.
And that's the great injustice that happened with this. Here we are, a global economic collapse, and nobody went to prison.
You know what the beast is?
Who's the beast?
That great vampire squid with searching around to put its blood funnel down anything that smells like money. Matt Taibbi. God damn, that's good.
And I think with that, we should end it for episode 14. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Because
I like what you came up with.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a moment.
Let's remind people what that was again.
The disease of certainty.
Disease of certainty.
I guess that should be the title of this episode.
It might be. I like that. Disease. There's more to that. I mean, just think about that. I think everybody suffers from that to certain degrees.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Where in your life are you certain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what makes you so certain?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody does.
You know, and then someone would say, well, if you don't have certainty, then you're just living in constant doubt.
No, you're learning. You're growing.
Exactly. That's what I think. I think you're open to new ideas. You're learning and growing.
Fucking thought leaders. Ringer. All right,
let's go to carlandmike.net. We're going to have our show notes, and the show notes, just so you know, we kind of break down what we talk about in different sections. So it's got a timer there, and it's got links to things that we talk about. It's all at carlandmike.net. Check us out on Facebook, carlandmike.net. Check us out on Carl and Mike on Facebook and Twitter, Pinterest.
Junk mail. We haven't done junk mail yet.
We need to do junk mail.
Billboards.
Yeah.
Billboards.
Look for billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming to a infomercial near you.
Super Bowl halftime ad.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God.
All right, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Peace out.